Jai Sri Krishna. And often I ask myself, why am I sharing my life story? I never wanted to share it while I was alive. Yet why am I doing it? I think I mentioned earlier that there is a soft voice that comes clear when I need to do something, and when I don't know what to do, I do nothing. This voice initially did not want me to share it during my lifetime. And then slowly, it started opening a little door, saying, share it with a few. And so, I started sharing it with a few. But sometimes I still wonder, why am I doing it? And Omkar, who speaks to me as a photon of the Lord's light, says to me, by sharing your narrative, you learn the lessons that work as the cement to the bricks of your being and karma. At the same time, the listener is also taught precious things about himself. Omkar continues, you write about the experiences because you recognize them and fit them into your belief system. Most people cling to the effects rather than the ultimate cause. And I say to my students, I tell them, it's not that what I have experienced is something so tremendous. The only difference is that I write about them and you don't. So look into your life and you will find so many instances that you have put aside and forgotten, which were actually that voice that I talk about, which is soft and yet clear. Jai Sri Krishna. So today, let us talk about blessings and curses. I don't know whether to believe in it, but I do believe about blessings, that if they come unasked for, and if they come from your gut feel, those blessings come to pass. And maybe in the case of a curse, when a person is extremely hurt and an ill feeling comes from the gut level, it may just be possible that it will come to pass. But I'm not talking about, there are beggars sometimes in the Indian world where they keep saying, if you don't give me something, this will happen to you, that will happen to you. I don't necessarily believe in those, but I do believe in giving alms to the poor. So let's not get confused with things around here. So I start this chapter with, God is never blind to your tears, never deaf to your prayers, and never silent to your pain. He sees, He hears, and He will deliver. So this chapter, which is called Blessings, I started like this, and I write. I don't usually remember names and faces, but I remember emotions, even as far back as I was a few years old. I was born in undivided India, Hyderabad, Sindh, and was just a year old when I went to the Canary Islands. My family, as I told you earlier, had extensive business outlets all over the world. Tenerife came to our share, and I heard that my father lost his health and his life trying to preserve whatever he could from the elder warring brothers, that is, my grandfather's brothers. I remember as a child visiting Tangier, Ceuta, Gibraltar, and finally settling down to study in Tenerife. My first memory, that of my father dying while I was only 4-something years old. I remember my mother running after my father's body, not letting him go, and me wondering why my father was so still and looking different. The help in the house took me to the kitchen for a cup of hot chocolate. There was confusion and pain in my heart, but I could not really understand it. Today, as a grown woman, I understand. While we are children, we perceive that we are the center of the universe to our parents. And since mother and father are enough to make our world complete, we feel that their life is complete as long as we are there in their lives. But is it so? And we learn as we grow up that there really are so many more needs. And today I understand what my mother, a young widow, must have gone through. I remember standing with my sister waiting to catch a flight. Obviously, my sister, who was 7 years older to me, knew that something was wrong. I remember sensing that. I remember her fidgeting. She either knew that my father was no more or that he was very ill, and we had been called. I remember looking at her sheepishly, not asking or maybe not wanting an answer. I have always missed a father, but I did not like friends feeling sorry for me. I would not speak or ask about my father from my mother, as I would feel it would hurt her. Those were the days when one closed the door to grief, hoping that if one did not speak about it, it would go away. Whenever mother spoke about him, I would squirm. I did not want to feel the pain. But I do remember often dreaming that my dad was alive and me calling out to my mother that there was nothing to feel unhappy about. But I don't remember even asking my sister about my dad. This pain, this vacuum, was filled much, much later when I had children of my own and I would see them being pampered by their father. But that's a story for another day. Life goes on. Since my chapter is called Blessing, let us talk about blessings and curses. I believe both fructify if they come from one's gut level, as I told you earlier. There are so many instances mentioned in the scriptures where curses have been uttered and they have fructified, also blessings. One of the instances that comes to my mind is when Draupadi entered the tent of Bhishma Pitamaha in the early morning during the Mahabharata war. And who was actually... let me repeat. One of the instances that come to my mind is when Draupadi entered the tent of Bhishma Pitamaha in the early morning during the Mahabharata war. And Pitamaha, who was actually with the opponents, that is the Kauravas, blessed her with the words, Saubhagyavati Bhava, meaning may you always live under the protection of your husband. True enough, the Pandavas, husbands of Draupadi, survived despite odds. Also, I've heard that a person living truthfully and by truth, his blessings will always come to pass. And it is the reason that one seeks the blessings of real saints. However, many ask how come our scriptures are full of sages uttering curses which cannot be taken back. I believe that one can perform rituals and penance of a kind that may provide with the power of the word uttered come to fructify. In such cases, the sage may be knowledgeable, powerful, but not spiritual necessarily. However, the law of karma is rigid. The difficulty does not vanish. It is either postponed to the future or is taken by the one who blesses. Or maybe the pain of the stab is reduced to a pain prick. But we shall discuss karma in another chapter. So let's return to my life in Mumbai. While I stayed with my mother in an apartment which was half rented out and on which income we would subsist, my mother suddenly fell ill. She got water in her lungs, pleurisy. Those days antibiotics were not invented, and so she was ordered to lie on her back until she was cured. It was tough. I was a school-going child at the time, but as I told earlier, Lord Krishna had entered my life. And so I don't recall panicking. But the society friends did panic or pretend to. I think we became a spectacle and a great topic for conversation. I believe people enjoy the suffering of others because it gives them a sense of joy to be in a better position. So maybe to entertain themselves they would want to visit, much to my unwillingness to entertain guests. Again, as I look back, I can recall that it was this painful period of my life where I learned to say no. Yes, I learned to say thank you for your concern, but no visitors for a while. I was not about to expose my mother to the pitiful glances of my unwelcome guests. My mother was ill, and sometimes when the help would be absent, I would have to help her with the not so pleasant tasks. And I remember one particular occasion when mother looked me in the eye and blessed me. I distinctly remember her telling me, "You are looking after me with so much love and patience, despite you having loads to do with your schoolwork. But one day I say, tu Rani banegi, you will be a queen." Dear readers, can you see the gods showering flowers from the skies? Well, they did. I did not, because I did not think much of the blessing at that time, as my service did not ask for any reward. I didn't think it was a big deal, but the blessing fructified. Cinderella married. She lived the Maharani life. And then I do remember the words and blessings of my mother. Mother also once told me something that I have never forgotten. She said to me, "You may achieve everything in your life for your efforts, perseverance or good luck, but heartfelt blessings that really work spring from a heart that is touched by something good that you do without expecting a return." I believe that when blessings and curse emanate from the gut level, they do come true. And Omkar states, "This is one great topic which again has many layers hidden in it. In this world of energies, their forms are curiously interchangeable. One kind of energy begets the other and they are complex. Intention being a force in itself, emotions being catalysts, so a blessing, a prophecy, a curse are all part of a solid totem. And of course, they are effective." Yes, there is so much more in the world that we do not know of. But these laws work, just like the law of gravity works. And I believe the law of grace also works. So think about it. And until next time, you take care and God bless.